Hello, this is Katie Hammond, and this is the presentation for my Servant Leadership Project. It is called Creative App Professional Development. For background information, I am an elementary art teacher and I teach kindergarten through 6th grade. In my district, we are one-to-one with technology. All of my students have their own iPads. In my classes, 2nd through 6th grade bring their iPads every day to art. I would also like to mention that I am in MNU's technology program. So what is the problem? We are lucky to have access to technology for our students. However, the teachers do not have very much professional development involving how to use it in a meaningful way. I've had teachers ask me what apps I'm using in the art room and to give them suggestions for ways that they can be more creative with their iPad use. We also do not communicate across grade level, and no one really knows how others are using iPads in their own classrooms. This is something that I would like to help my teachers with, and I want to share what I have learned at MNU classes. So, my solution to the problem is to create a professional development session where I could present apps I'm using in the art room. I also plan to adapt and give examples on how teachers can use these apps in their own lessons. The objectives for the professional development are to bring teachers together to collaborate about technology and to show creative apps being used in the art room and demonstrate how they can enhance their own lessons. The teachers at Shawano Elementary are benefiting from the professional development. They are also learning how to enhance their lessons and how to use technology in a more meaningful way instead of just substituting. My students are also benefiting. They will be receiving more engaging and challenging lessons in their general classroom. These are the steps when planning my project initially. When I first got approval from my administration, my principal saw the need in our building as well. He was very excited that I was taking on that leadership role. After I got the approval, next I got a 3rd grade teacher in my building to be on my team. She would help collaborate and guide when discussing the general classroom curriculum and what is needed in the general classroom when it comes to technology. After that, I wanted to focus on apps that I am using in my classroom. I gathered information about those apps and student examples that I could share. Last, with my team, we discussed how these apps could be applied to the general classroom and how they can help with the lessons and assignments that the teachers have planned. First, I sent a Google form to see when teachers were available for professional development and what teachers were interested in this professional development. Using that information, we set a date and time. My team then created a presentation for the professional development. After presenting it, we recently reflected changes we would like to make in our next steps for continuing this professional development beyond this one meeting. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about my team. I asked another teacher in my building to help create and present the professional development. I believe she was a great candidate because her and I work well together, and she's also taking a technology class while getting her master's. She also teaches 3rd grade, which is in the middle of the grade levels, and could help with both lower and upper grade levels at our school when developing lesson examples. She was a great asset since I was not familiar with the core standards in the general classroom. She also had great apps and resources to share with me, and I learned a lot from her. The project did not have any budget, so I only could use what the students already had, their iPads, and apps that were already purchased by the district so that they were free to download. We held our professional development meeting in my classroom, so space was somewhat limited. The biggest issue was planning and time. It seemed that the month of November and December were really busy for everyone because there was testing, and also in our district we had the whole week of Thanksgiving off. So when we came back, there was a lot of after-school stuff planned that week. So time was probably the biggest issue when planning this project. In the next few slides, I will talk about what was discussed in our professional development meeting. SAM-R and the 4 Seeds of Education. This table was created by my colleague and I. For this professional development, we focused on a few apps instead of the whole chart. Since teachers were approaching me about creative apps, that is where we started. The 2 we focused on for this professional development was Sketchbook and the Stop Motion app. Eventually, we would like to go over this whole chart. These are student examples of 6th grade lessons I just did. Students were learning about form and representational art. Their assignment was to create a representational movie poster using form to describe the movie in little details. They also had to think about text and composition. I showed these examples to the teachers and we discussed how the apps could be applied to their own classroom. Miss Folk, the 3rd grade teacher I'm working with, shared how she is using the app in her classroom. Students were randomly airdropped an animal and they had to use the app to create a habitat for that animal to survive. We discussed ways that the teachers could use them in their own classroom, and some of the teachers said that they could use it for students to create a poster about a book that they have read. And one teacher also mentioned using it to draw and express their experience, a student's experience on a field trip or something else like that. The second app that I showed was the Stop Motion app. This is a student example of how the app can be used and what it looks like. I created a movie showing how the students can use the app to share information in a creative way. Ms. Folk used the app to let students document their progress through a book project. As the students wrote and drew pages in their book, they took a picture. The finished result will show their process and create a movie that they can share with family and other 3rd grade students. Unfortunately, we do not have that video to share yet because students are still making the book. The Stop Motion app can also be used to share your movies with others. The teachers were really excited about this because it provided a creative way for students to make presentations and to show their learning about different subjects. It seemed like it could be applied to a lot of different subjects and grade levels. There were a lot of successes in my professional development. Teachers responded well to it. There were a lot of initial interest in the project as well. Teachers that came to the professional development were excited to try out the apps in their own classroom. Some have already been using the Stop Motion app and have asked their students to teach them more ways that they can use it. Some of the challenges, however, were the time of the project. Like I said, the district had the whole week off of Thanksgiving, and there was a lot happening when we came back. So there wasn't that big of a turnout, but I believe it was because of the timing. I had a lot of the people that were interested before and then just didn't come to the meeting. I also want to spend more time collaborating on the lesson ideas as a group instead of me and my colleague talking the majority of the time. Another thing I want to try out and do differently is I want to spend more time using the app with the teachers while they're in my meeting. I was showing them apps that their students already know how to use because I taught it to them, but I still now see benefits of allowing the teachers to use the app so I can help them right away instead of them playing around with it later and having their students teach them about it. I also need to remind teachers to bring their iPads to the professional development. Some of them forgot, which wasn't very helpful. In the future, I plan on focusing on other apps listed by me and my colleague in the SAM-R and 4 C's of Education chart. She has also taken technology courses in her grad program and wants to share the resources she has found. This time we focused on creative apps, but we want to next focus on other categories, which are apps that I also use. I eventually want this to be a frequent meeting and other teachers can share apps they are using or like to use. I don't want to be running every single meeting. I can help organize and get the meeting started and even provide the space. But eventually, after me and my colleague are done teaching about the apps that we have listed, we would like other people to step up and start teaching about apps that they're using in their classrooms. I've already sent out a Google form to get an idea of when our next meeting can be. I'm hoping that we can have one next month, maybe after we get back from winter break. My main goal for these meetings, though, is I want this to be a time that the teachers can collaborate, that there is team building, and that we're sharing how we are using technology to enhance our students' learning. Thank you for watching.